as I welcome very, very heartily President Museveni to South Africa. It's a real joy and a pleasure to be amongst you here. This is indeed a historic occasion for us as South Africa to not only host President Museveni, but also to have this business forum. This business forum is an important addition to the state visit. Earlier today, we held productive discussions on a number of issues with President Museveni, but more particularly on how to reinvigorate and boost trade between our two countries, but also how we can increase investments between our two countries. We considered a number of challenges in the landscape, but even as we saw challenges, we also saw great opportunities. So this business forum is an opportunity for all of you who are business people to exchange not only your business cards, but also to exchange your thoughts, your views, to be involved in deep conversations, and to move from contact to contract. And I do hope that flowing from this business forum, there will be a number of contracts that are signed. And I can already smell millions of dollars that are in the making. And as I look at you, I see smiles. I know that when business people smile, it's because they've done good deals. So I can smell good deals amongst you. So we really welcome this opportunity that you have had to be together and to converse with each other and to try and identify the many opportunities that exist. It is particularly important that we inject what I would call vigor, particularly when it comes to putting the Africa Continental Free Trade Area into operation, to enable it and to showcase it as a treaty that can boost economic growth on our continent. I hope to see a strong showing from Uganda and South African business people, particularly at the inaugural AFCFTA Business Forum that will be hosted in Cape Town later this year. That is the moment that we all should look forward to get our treaty truly off the ground, as many countries have signed up and are ready to trade. Some have already started trading, particularly in the West African part, in the west of our continent. When it comes to trade and investment linkages between South Africa and Uganda, there is certainly great room for improvement. Last year, we saw a decline in volumes of trade between our two countries compared to the preceding year. I don't know what caused it. It could have been the aftermath of COVID, but certainly it's not something that we would like to see, because we would like to see improvement and increased trade on an ongoing basis. In 2022, and I'm sure you've already got the figures, being the good business people that you are, our two-way trade amounted to $130 million, just over 1.8 billion rand. We should aim to more than double this and get the trade to shoot way over almost $300 million as well. And I certainly think that It is an achievable goal, and with business people like yourselves who are ready to trade, who have identified a lot of opportunities, I see no reason why we do not reach that level. For South Africa, we are open to increasing the quantity as well as the diversity of products that we want to source from Uganda, because the success of intra-Africa trade hinges on each of us sourcing from one another and prioritizing made and grown in Africa products and services. I would certainly like to see, when I go into a supermarket, which I'm never given an opportunity to do nowadays, I would really like to see products made in Uganda, coffee made in Uganda. That is what we as South Africans are hungry for. We are hungry for products that are made in various countries on the continent, and certainly a product that's made in the pearl of Africa. Wow, what more do you want? That is exactly what people would want, because Uganda remains mystic. It remains a wonderful part of the continent, right at the center of our continent. Who wouldn't want a product that comes from there? All of us would. So to do so, we need to focus on a number of aspects, and two of those would be increasing the level of reciprocal investment and increasing the levels of trade. Now, quite often we find that investment is one way, and I'd like to see many more Ugandan companies investing here in South Africa. We already have a number of South African companies, and I'll talk about that in a little while, invested in Uganda, but we want to see more South African companies investing, Ugandan companies investing here. And there are a number of sectors, there are a number of industries where we can all play. We can choose whichever one we want. The confectionery industry is one example of opportunities for the creation of new value chains, building relationships between major South African food producers and Ugandan suppliers of inputs such as vanilla, coffee, and cocoa would provide a route to expanding into the broader customer goods market. Global food supply disruptions and changing climatic conditions have underscored the need for improved irrigation in farming. South African irrigation equipment producers, and we have a number of them, and services providers can assist to enable a more resilient Ugandan agricultural industry. Uganda's infrastructure build program offers opportunities for partnership, drawing on the expertise of South African firms to help achieve Uganda's national objectives. Uganda's construction drive and increasing urbanization offers substantial opportunities in the supply of electrotechnical equipment by South African manufacturers. I am hopeful, Mr. President, that we will see an improvement in two-way sourcing of goods as well as services between our two countries. Earlier, you were talking at the press conference that we had about what Pan-Africanism is about, and you hinged it on the ability to produce goods and services and to trade with one another as Africans in our own continent. And if we have to go beyond. We should be selling good quality products outside of our continent as well, so that the international community can be attracted to the goods and services that we provide. Challenges at ports and the regulatory red tape that delays logistics and supply chains will also have to be addressed. When it comes to investment, we share a common aspiration to see more South African companies in Uganda and more Ugandan companies in South Africa. South African corporations such as ABSA, Stenbic, MultiChoice, MTN, Woolworths, Eskom, and IDC all have a footprint in Uganda. We are proud that they add tremendous value to the national economy, but more importantly also to the tax base of Uganda. It is a concern, however, that, as I said, South Africa's companies investments in Uganda have been declining from 70 firms before COVID-19 to about 36 at present. That is a matter that concerns us, but should also concern you as Ugandans. At the same time, the appetite of South African firms to expand into East Africa is quite considerable. To unlock the potential and ensure that Uganda benefits from the outward investment drive, we will need to deepen our collaboration to address the challenges and concerns that face investors. Because let's face it, investors do face concerns and challenges, be it here in South Africa, be it anywhere else in the world. And our task should be to see how best we address those concerns. Like Uganda, South Africa has identified agriculture, infrastructure, mining, energy, transport, logistics, and manufacturing as some of the key growth areas that will aid and abet economic reconstruction and recovery. We are, as a result of all these ambitions we have, we are implementing structural reforms that are aimed at making it easier for investors to come and invest here. Reforms that are meant to attract investors to come to our market. And we are therefore addressing the issues of electricity, ports, rail, telecommunications, and water, as well as road infrastructure. We are working to improve the business operating environment, including the setting up of what we call a red tape reduction team in the presidency to coordinate all efforts to remove the many bureaucratic hurdles that we in government are fond of creating and setting up. And when one looks at some of those hurdles, you wonder, why do we ever set them up? Because they inhibit and they constrain investors to come and invest. We should be more investor friendly. We should be more forthright in attracting investors to come to our economy and our market. And of course, as South Africa, we are also having to address a debilitating electricity crisis as our foremost priority. Our focus is on improving the availability of the supply of electricity from existing coal-fired power stations and accelerating private investment in generation capacity, producing new capacity from other sources. And we've got a mixed energy source type of architecture. We've got, it's mixed, it's from coal, nuclear, wind, sun, and hydro, and we are now encouraging more investors to come and invest in all this. One of the most far-reaching reforms we've implemented is also to remove what we call the licensing requirements for self-generation, and we now have more than 100 projects in the pipeline where those who want to generate electricity for themselves, for their facilities, factories, can now do so. Our renewable energy program is also forging ahead with a number of new projects that are expected to enter construction soon. So the increasing efforts, or rather effects, of climate change on our countries, and many countries on our continent are directly affected by climate change, make the decarbonization of our respective economies all more important. Last year, we entered into what we call a just energy transition agreement, which led to an investment plan. Low carbon, climate change resilient and sustainable development isn't just about people and the planet. It is also what should make business sense. There are therefore numerous opportunities for Ugandan investors to come to South Africa and participate in a number of sectors, be they new sectors that are emerging, electric vehicles. In our discussion with President Museveni, we spoke about that possibility as well. And the just energy transition must also be a catalyst for development, for job creation, for beneficiation. Beneficiation is so important because gone should be the days where Africa just becomes a center where your other economies outside of our continent will just extract raw materials. Gone should those days be. We now want to make finished products that they need, and we want to export them there. And we want to produce good quality finished products, be it batteries with the lithium that is mined in our own continent, be it electric vehicles, whatever it is, we should be able to make those products. Our forebears, as humanity was created on this continent, were able to demonstrate their full capability, because it was when those who left the continent went to other locales, were exhibiting precisely what they had learned on our continent. So we have the talent, we have the capability to reach those high levels. And if there ever was a time, this is the time. It's post-colonial time. It is the time of the youth of this continent. We now need to reap that youth dividend, because most of the people who live on our continent are young, they are bright, they are resourceful, they are brave, they are courageous, they are foresightful, much cleverer than possibly all of us who are seated here. So let's give them a chance. So the opportunities for both private and public investment in our respective countries is indeed immense. I certainly look forward to seeing Ugandan investors coming also to South Africa here when we hold our 5th South Africa Investment Conference in April this year. I'd like, when it is announced, to hear that there are investors from Uganda who are also here. We should not just be hearing about investors from Germany, from the United States, and so on. I now want to hear about investors from our own continent coming here. In conclusion, I urge that throughout our interactions, we must promote the principles of mutual benefit and empowerment. We must foster industrialization in Africa. We use African products where we use African products and raw materials. And we must invest more in our people, particularly women and young people, in rural enterprises. And we must work together to improve the conditions of Africa's workers. I look forward to an era of trade, commerce, investment between South Africa and Uganda. And I want to end on a very thankful note. I'd like to once again express our deep gratitude to Uganda and to you, President Museveni, for the support that Uganda gave to South Africa. You are part of the architects of this South Africa that we live in. You sacrificed a great deal. You sacrificed a great deal when we were involved in a bitter struggle against apartheid. As Ugandans, you raised your hands and said, this struggle we will support. President Museveni was relating to us that in 1969, he even joined the ANC as a member. Now, as president of the ANC, as the custodian of what the ANC stands for, I look forward to giving you a special membership card. So that you and I can stand side by side and say, yes, we are members of the ANC. Thank you very much.